I have a question for you, Missourians. I don't know if you care about this, but this is starting to become a big deal in the Missouri governor's race. So I want to get your feedback on the phones and on the text line as we move through this story, 913-408-7957. Do you care whether or not Missouri Secretary of State and gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft is like officially a licensed engineer? I'm bringing this up because this has been kind of part of a controversial couple of days for Jay Ashcroft, who kind of is billing himself as an engineer who's running for governor. Now, of course, he's the Secretary of State, and, you know, the biggest thing he's got going for him, we know, is his last name. But he has come under attack for describing himself as an engineer in his campaign for governor, despite holding no professional license as an engineer. He's talked a lot about his background as an engineer in his ads, on the show, on the website. He said in his campaign video, "I'm an engineer and engineers fix problems." But as it turns out, he does not have whatever the official license is to be an engineer.
As a resident of Missouri in Jackson County, I care if Jay Ashcroft is an engineer if he's building a deck onto the back of my house. So, you know, no.
No is the answer from you.
Yeah.
There's
Only
one
if he's
Missouri
building
voter.
Something.
Yeah. So here was Jay Ashcroft getting confronted about this over the weekend, and here's what he said.
Did you ever pass or even take the Missouri State Engineering exam? Yes or no?
I took the precursor. I did not take the second one because I'm not a civil engineer.
Okay. Did you separate or did you flunk out of the Marine Academy?
Sir,
Yes or no?
I'm an engineer.
Okay, sir, I'm an engineer. But he said he didn't take whatever the secondary exam would be to officially be a licensed engineer. Now, I'm with John. I wouldn't give a damn about this. If I thought the guy was the best candidate for governor, I'd vote for him. He's got an engineering background. I mean, hell, you got Jill Biden going around calling herself Dr. Jill. This is like the least of our problems when you're talking about whether or not somebody's got an official engineering license, John.
He could be an attorney.
Yeah.
We need that. We need more of those, huh?
Seriously. Exactly right. At least he's not an attorney, you know? So I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, I get it. We're getting down to the final 30 days of a primary, and this is when people are like starting to sling the mud and whatnot. But unless you're like an engineer who maybe really cares about the in the weeds of being an engineer, does the average voter give a rip? I mean, it's not like the guy said he's an engineer and he's never done anything to do with engineering in his life. He studied it. I guess he worked in engineering for a few years, and he may not have some official license. It's like saying you're an accountant but not being a CPA. We're splitting hairs here. I don't see this as being a big deal at all. If Jay Ashcroft's your guy, Jay Ashcroft's your guy. If he's not, he's not. But you're not going to be like, oh, man, he lied about being an engineer. I mean, come on. Exactly right from John. You're not, hiring the guy to build a deck in your backyard. 913-408-7957. I do want to get to you on this and hear from Eric in Kansas City. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me back. Hey, so I am actually a licensed engineer, and I don't want to, you just said, I don't want to split hairs, but it's actually a term to call yourself an engineer legally. You actually can't call yourself an engineer. You can do engineering work and not have your, principles of engineering license, your PE license. It's kind of like if you went to med school, but you don't pass the state exam, or you got your law degree and you don't take the bar exam. Are you really a lawyer? Are you really a doctor? I don't know what kind of jobs are out there if you don't actually take those exams so you can practice and prove to the state that you're proficient.
Somebody says, let me ask you, Eric, there's a bunch of texts coming in on this. Somebody says here, very few engineers are PE certified. Someone else says you take a test in college, the PE exam is much later after college. What is that?
Yes, sir. So you take try to really get this for you quickly. So you go to college, you have to get an ABET accredited degree, and civil, electrical, mechanical, let's say whatever your practice is, and then you take your engineering training exam first, which you can take that at any time after you have your ABET accredited degree. The boards that constantly are maintaining, these licenses, they're changing. But long story short, then most states now are allowing you to take your PE exam, which is your Principles of Engineering exam, anytime after you've taken your EIT exam. And then some states in Kansas, I think Kansas just changed it. You used to have to wait 4 years to have that experience to take that exam. But Missouri, I had a lot of friends that went to college. They took their EIT exam, and then shortly after they took their PE exam. And fortunately, they passed on their first go. Give a lot of credit to them. But that's kind of how this field shakes out.
Gotcha.
And
so it really is technical.
Really,
it really is technical. I mean, to break it all down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And it's kind of, and I know I'm eating up a lot of your time here, but it's kind of like the doctor who goes to med school. Well, they can't really write a prescription until they have that certification from the state. And so an engineer can't stamp a drawing saying, yes, this will work the first time until they have that stamp.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I see. Interesting. On the text line, Pete, I work for an electric company in Kansas City. We have technicians who pull this card all the time. It's an ego thing. I'm a technician. I do engineering work, but I'm technically not an engineer. All right. 913-408-7957. Dorian in Harrisonville. What's up, Dorian? Good morning.
Hey, Pete. Good morning. I think we're really getting into the weeds here on this. That's what I was telling John. I mean, I'm an insurance agent by trade, but I grew up on a farm. I can still farm. I can do anything you want to do on a farm. So I profess to be a farmer. Do I have a plaque on the wall that says that? No. Am I capable of doing it? Yes. I mean, we are really stretching here to find a problem, looks to me like.
Yep. That's where I'm at, Dorian. Thank you very much. 913-408-7957. Pete, this PE is more for civil or mechanical engineering. Rachel is on KCMO Talk Radio in Buckner. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Pete. I'm a mechanical engineer, and unless you're a mechanical engineer who signs off on drawings, you don't need the PE degree, especially if you work in manufacturing, which is what I've always done. If you work in a plant, which is how everything gets made in this country, a lot of times there isn't a PE in your plant. And so that's part of the requirement. Yes, I took the FE test at college because my senior design professor made me, and I passed it. But you have to work. It's not just you have to take another exam. You have to work under somebody who is a PE. And so most of the people that are running all these factories in our city and all over the country aren't actually PEs because you don't have as many opportunities. So, yeah, if you're a mechanical who signs off on drawings, or if you're a civil who signs off on drawings, you need it. But I'm an engineer. My husband's an engineer. A lot of my friends are engineers, and hardly any of us are PEs.
And Rachel, I've got a text. I've got a text here. It says you can work as an engineer under a licensed engineer who signs off on your work.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
There just has to be somebody who can rubber stamp it for government contracts and all the other BS that makes things more expensive. But I have a problem with people who say they're an engineer who don't actually go to school and get an engineering degree because it's a heck of a lot of work and a lot of math.
Yeah.
But if you get an engineering degree, you're an engineer. I don't even know what the math is on the subset of people who actually get the PE. But again, it's a lot of bureaucracy. I don't know how much of it is worth anything, but especially people that are in plants, process engineers, mechanical engineers that are helping things get made, a lot of times they don't have the opportunity. I was in a prestigious GE program that rotated through a bunch of different plants. I did a bunch of different roles. I don't know anybody that was a PE.
Yeah. Do you care about this thing then with Jay Ash? Do you care about this thing with Jay Ashcroft then?
No.
Okay. All right.
I think that's splitting hairs. I like the fact that engineers solve problems because that's how I feel about it. But no, the PE thing, that's just like fluff for no reason to cause controversy. All
right. Very well done. Thank you, Rachel. 913-408-7957. Gosh. My time in college at Villanova, the smartest people were the engineers and the accountant majors. And talking to the callers just now who were just engineers, I'm reminded of that. Smart bunch. 913-408-7957. Do you care? about this Jay Ashcroft controversy that he's not officially a licensed engineer? I haven't heard one person yet on the phones who say they care. We'll get to you coming up here on KCMO, bottom of the hour caller of the day as we roll till 10 o'clock on KCMO. Kansas City Star has a column headlined Reality Check, which is just freaking hilariously ironic for the Kansas City Star to have a column titled Reality Check. I mean, talk about a place that needs a freaking reality check. It's the Kansas City Star. The headline, Missouri candidate for governor says he's an engineer. Why doesn't he have a license? So this is now, with 30 days to go in the governor's race, this is one of the big things getting attention. Jay Ashcroft calls himself an engineer, but he does not technically have a license. He was confronted on this over the weekend as, I want to make sure I properly credit this audio to Greg Keller. Here we go.
Did you ever pass or even take the Missouri State Engineering exam? Yes or no?
I took the precursor. I did not take the second one because I'm not a civil engineer.
Okay. Did you separate or did you flunk out of the Marine Academy?
Sir,
Yes or no?
I'm an engineer.
On the text line, I'm waiting for somebody to care about this. Nobody seems to care about this one bit. Pete, my son has a mechanical engineering degree and works for a large engineering company building power plants. He has not taken the PE exam because his job does not require him to do the drawings. He is actually building things. Okay. So you hear Jay Ashcroft say there he is not a civil engineer, therefore he does not, in his opinion, need this license that he's being asked about. Now, his opponents, Mike Kehoe and Bill Eigel, are going after him on this. Mike Kehoe's campaign saying, quote, Jay Ashcroft is not qualified to be an engineer, and he certainly is not qualified to be the governor. He is lying to Missouri voters in an attempt to cast himself as anything other than the candidate running on his last name. Let's see what Bill Eigel has to say here. Bill Eigel's campaign saying, quote, Jay Ashcroft is being exposed as a phony. That's why his standing in this race is fading faster than Joe Biden's brain. Oh,
Come on, man.
Bill Eigel is the only true conservative in the race for governor. All right, so that's what his two opponents in the primary are saying about this story. 913-408-7957. Blake is on KCMO. Hello, Blake.
Hey, Pete, old buddy. Yeah, I'll take up that mantle of someone or make the argument of why we should care. Let's talk about something as low stakes. I mean, you wouldn't call yourself the program director before you were at the station. I can't practice real estate without a license. Certainly, you can't practice medicine without a license and an education. Now, it's not life and death like that to have an engineering degree, certainly.
But you can be an engineer without having the certification. That's the difference.
Well, why would you have that certification?
To do certain things within engineering, but you don't need to be an engineer to have, you don't need to take this exam to be an engineer. You just have to have the exam and take the exam to rubber stamp certain projects, which is what many are saying.
I think we're getting in the weeds here. His name's Jay
Well, you're the one who
Ashcroft.
said you're the one who said you care about it. So I'm asking you to explain.
I do care in the overall sense that I don't walk around calling myself something that I'm not. And therefore, I don't. I think that someone who does ought to get my vote for governor. I mean, it speaks to character. Let me ask you: would you call yourself the program director or chief reporting personality of the station before you were? Certainly not.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call myself anything that I'm not, and certainly something that requires licensure and certification.
Okay.
By a government board,
yeah,
right? No less. And he wants to be head of the government.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, Blake, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm looking to get it across the board. So I if you care, you care. That's fine. Let's go to Gary in Kansas City. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Pete. I just wanted to clear up some misconceptions about the licensing. It's sort of embarrassing that fellow engineers don't have the story straight on licensing. So It's required if you do any practice of engineering, and it's defined pretty broadly. It isn't just about stamping drawings or building something. It's any application of science to do engineering work. And you have to have that license if you're affecting public health and welfare. Mm-hmm. And that's really the distinction, So when people build products, like at a factory, it's an exemption because they're covered under product safety law. So they figure, the license is all about accountability and, and making sure that you don't endanger the public. So, those engineers that do the products are covered separately. But
can they call themselves engineers?
Technically, no. And actually, there's lots of cases you can look up where, companies or individuals call themselves engineers, don't have the license, and they've been disciplined by the board and fined administratively. So, that can certainly happen with John Ashcroft if they decide to pursue it. Of course, politically they probably wouldn't.
Is it looked down upon within the industry?
I wouldn't say looked down upon. It's more of, when you're a licensed professional engineer, then you're looked at as having met the standards to practice. And it's not that others can't. It's just that it's known that they have an exemption under the law to work under another engineer or they're doing something like product construction or design.
Okay. All right, point taken. Thank you very much for that, Gary in Kansas City, 913-408-7957. Dave in Kansas City. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, Pete. A guy can get a degree in engineering. I agree with you. He doesn't have to have all these certificates to do this or that. And it doesn't mean you're any dumber than the guy that does have it. And you just you had to have it for your job. I think it's all much to do about nothing.
Much to do about nothing. Okay. All right. Thank you very much there for that, David in Kansas City. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Matt in Excelsior Springs. What's up, Matt? Let it rip.
All right, Pete. Let me walk you through how engineering works.
I don't have enough time for that, so go. Go ahead, real fast.
Okay, so you go to college for 4 years. You graduate with a BSME. You are a mechanical engineer. You apply for an Engineer 1 position. They ask, do you have your FE? No. FE is the engineering training certificate. Oh, well, that's fine. We don't require it. Okay, you're still an engineer. That's not the thing. Okay, now in order to get your PE, you have to work 5 years under a PE in order to get your professional engineering license after taking the EIT. So, and you do not need to take the EIT immediately. You can take the EIT and then take the PE. You are still an engineer. That's not how it works. You will not be sued for anything. The guy who's like, oh, well, you need it for affecting health and safety. Yes, you need it for stamping drawings. He's wrong. You need it to stamp drawings to show accountability for things that could go wrong.
So as an engineer yourself, Matt, you see no problem with what Jay Ashcroft did?
Yes.
You see no problem, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, man. That's good. I appreciate that. On the text line, Pete, very few engineers are PE certified, and Ashcroft would technically be a junior engineer, like an apprentice for an electrician. Nobody in the business says that, though. All I know is this much. I'm not qualified to be an engineer after this conversation. 913-408-7957. I like this on the text line. Pete, George Costanza was an architect. There we go.